This is the study guide for lessons 4.1 to 4.4. Pause the video now so you can flip through your packet checking your answers. And I'm going to continue after this going through each problem so you can fast forward to different sections that you need to go over. For number 1, we need to factor it. And factor means we are prime factoring. And when we're prime factoring our numbers, our answer should have exponents in it. So for 40, we're going to make our factor tree. Okay, two numbers that go in are 4 and 10. Now keep in mind there's no one way to do a factor tree. You could also say 8 and 5 and 2 and 20. Those would also work. Neither of these is a prime number, so we're going to split the 4 into 2 and 2, and the 10 is 2 and 5. So we're going to rewrite our answer. We have 3 2's, so that means it's 2 cubed, and then times a 5. Notice we write them in numerical order. It's also possible to do it without a factor tree, and that's perfectly fine. Remember, you start with your smallest prime number. So the smallest prime is 2, which does go into 40, and 40 is 2 times 20. 20 is 2 times 10. 10 is 2 times 5, and we're done. So now we would just write 2 to the third power times 5, and we get the same answer. 96 is going to be 4 times 24. Okay, 4 is 2 times 2, and 26 is 4 times 6. Sorry, 24 is 4 times 6. 4 is 2 and 2. 6 is 2 and 3. So we have 2 to the 5th power times 3. Now number 3 says list the factors. Here we're finding pairs of numbers, all the numbers that divide evenly into 60, not just prime numbers. Okay, if you like doing the factor rainbow, this is the type of problem that you're going to do that on. So I'm going to start with 1 and 60. Our next number would be 2, and 2 is paired with 30. 3 goes into 60, and it's 3 times 20. 4 goes into 60, and that's 4 times 15. 5 goes in, and that's 5 times 12. 6, oops, I jumped. 6 and 10 are paired up, and then in between that 7, 8, and 9, none of those numbers go into 60. 10 would be the next one, so we know that we have our entire list. For number 4, when we're factoring a monomial, we're going to prime factor the number and then split up all the variables. Okay, so 32 is 2 times 16. 16 is 2 times 8. 8 is 2 times 4. And 4 is 2 times 2. And then we have 2 A's and a B. So our final answer is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times A times A times B. Now we're finding GCF. Okay, remember you can sit there and list your factors. However, we do prefer the method that involves prime factoring. So we're going to prime factor both 45 and 60. I'm going to do it quickly, but if you need to use your factor tree, remember that's always a possibility. So 45 is 9 times 5, and 9 is 3 times 3. So I'm going to say 3 times 3 times 5. 60 is 2 times 30. 30 is 2 times 15. 15 is 3 times 5. So now we've prime factored. Now we're going to go through and circle our common factors. So here we have a pair of 3's. Here we have a pair of 5's. That's the only thing that's in both numbers. And now for each pair you circle, you write down one number. So from our 3's, we write down a 3. From our 5's, we write down a 5. We're going to multiply them together. And our greatest common factor is 15. Okay, for number 6, we have some monomials. So 18b squared is going to be 2 times 9, and 9 is 3 times 3. And then we have our two b's. 30b cubed, so 30 is 2 times 15. 15 is 3 times 5, times b times b times b. Let's circle our common factors. 2, 3, B, and B. And we're going to take one from each and multiply them together. And then our final answer, 2 times 3 is 6. B times B is B squared. So our final answer is 6B squared. Now we're dealing with three numbers. 18, well that was over here, so I'm going to say 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. 42 is 2 times 21. 21 is 3 times 7. And 60, well that we did over here in number 5, so 60 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. So now for GCF, we need to find a common factor in all three of our numbers. We have a 2 that's in all three, and we also have a 3 that's in all three. So we write down our 2, write down our 3, multiply them together, and our GCF is 6. Okay, let's work on some simplifying. Okay, for these questions, you can either find the GCF and divide it out from the numerator and denominator right away and take care of simplifying in one step, or you can do it in little pieces. Okay, whatever you see goes into both numbers, divide it out, and then keep going if you need to. So for 8, 25 over 35, they both end in a 5, which means we can divide both numbers by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So our simplified number is 5/7. Okay, looking at 80 over 96, maybe we're not quite sure what goes into both, but we notice they're both even numbers, so we can always start by dividing it by 2. 80 divided by 2 is 40. 96 divided by 2, I think it moved a little bit. So 80 divided by 2, 96 divided by 2, so 40, and then 96 divided by 2 is 48. And now I can actually see that 8 goes into both of my numbers. So I'm going to divide this by 8 and this by 8, and I get 5/6. If you had found the GCF, which is 16, you could have done it right away. 80 divided by 16 is 5. 96 divided by 16 is 6. So once again, you can divide by the GCF and do it in one step, or you can do it in pieces here. Divide by 2 and then divide by 8. For this question, number 10, I see that 8 goes into both of my numbers. 48 divided by 8 is 6. 64 divided by 8 is 8. But I'm not done yet. We can divide by 2, and we get 3/4. And the last one, we have some monomials in our fraction. We're going to prime factor each of the monomials. So 27 BCD would be 3 times 3 times 3 times B times C times D. And 12B squared is 2 times 2 times 3 times B times B. And for simplifying, we don't want to circle our common factors, we want to cross them off. So we have 3 and 3. We can really say that those are 1s now since we divided the 3 out. And we have B and B. So now we're going to go through and see what we have left. Your answer should still be a fraction. 3 times 3 is 9, and we have CD, so it's 9 CD. 2 times 2 is 4 with a B. So our answer is 9 CD over 4B. Okay, last couple questions. We're finding the LCM of the sets of numbers. For 16, okay, we're going to use our prime factoring method. 16 is 2 times 8. 8 is 2 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. 24 is 2 times 12. 12 is 2 times 6. And 6 is 2 times 3. Now, just like GCF, we're going to go through and circle our common factors. So we have 2's, 2's, and 2's. And for each circled factor, we're going to write one down. So we got 2 times 2 times 2. One from the first pair, one from the second, one from the third. Now with this, we have extra numbers that we need to multiply. So we have an extra 2 and an extra 3. So this 2 went right here, and this 3 went right here. Okay, we're just going to multiply everything together now. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 3 is 48. Let's look at 15, 30, and 50. 15 is 3 times 5. 30 is 2 times 15, which is 3 times 5. And 50 is 2 times 25. 25 is 5 times 5. So now with 3 numbers, we're going to find things common to all 3. So we have 5 that's in all 3. Let me write it down. But now the difference between GCF and LCM is now we can find numbers that are common to just 2. So here I have some 2's in common and some 3's in common. And then finally, we have that extra 5. We're going to write that down and multiply that in also. 5 times 2 gives you 10, 3 times 5 gives you 15, and 10 times 15 is 150. Okay, last question. 6m squared and 10m cubed. Okay, 6m squared is going to be 2 times 3 times m times m. 10m cubed is going to be 2 times 5 times m times m times m. We have a pair of 2's in common, a pair of m's in common, another pair of m's in common. But we have an extra 3, an extra 5, and an extra m. Okay, that 3 went there. That 5 went there. And that m right there. So now we multiply everything together. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. And we have 3 m's. So our answer is 30 m cubed. Hopefully you read through the rest of the packet, okay, especially because some of the types of questions didn't have a try on your own, especially the rules for divisibility and the equivalent fractions problems. Okay, good luck studying, and hopefully we do well on our quiz tomorrow.